From the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
All right, folks. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone tuning in this morning. The last working day before a very, very long holiday weekend here in the United States as we celebrate Thanksgiving and give thanks to this nation for our freedoms and so much more. Veteran November continues. Tomorrow and Friday, I'll be doubling up the episodes. So you'll get one in the morning, you'll get one in the afternoon. So make sure you tune in. I'll be changing. I'll have one out at 9 a.m., another one out at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, both days. So you guys can tune in. Today, I've got another great episode with Brittany Hammertime over at Cardinal Health. We're going to be talking about her veteran career and how she skipped out on college to join the military. So make sure you tune in. A very inspirational story and a very interesting conversation. And I'm going to have her on the CISO Talk podcast and a new podcast I'm launching on December 1st called CISO Secrets. So you guys can also tune in to that. So without further ado, make sure you subscribe to our podcast today. If you're watching us on YouTube, just subscribe and hit the bell. We're so close to getting 1,000 subscribers, folks. So close. So everyone that subscribes will make this Thanksgiving, will make me very thankful this Thanksgiving. So please make sure to do so. You can get our entire practitioner brief today on our website at cyberhubpodcast.com, where you can see all the links to all the stories we're talking about. You can read the entire thing because I obviously give you a short version of it here today. And without further ado, let's get into today's practitioner brief. A lot of things to talk about before this great Thanksgiving weekend. I don't know how you like your turkey, fried, roasted, or however, but I know how I like my practitioner brief today. Short, fast, and to the point. So 4 stories we're going to talk about: a 2-factor bypass vulnerability patched in the cPanel and WebHost manager. Chinese threat actor Mustang Panda updates tool in attacks on the Vatican. Stantinko Linux malware now poses as an Apache web server. This is huge, folks. And a critical software flaw that's now being used to break into networks. So let's start with the cPanel that last week released patches to address 3 vulnerabilities in the cPanel and WebHost manager, including one leading to a 2-factor authentication bypass. You know, the kind of technology that we argue with and argue for, that it's the basic of cyber hygiene. So a suite of tools built for Linux, cPanel, and WHM helps hosting providers and users automate management and web hosting tasks. The vulnerability identified by security researchers at Digital Defense, the 2-factor bypass issue could allow attackers to perform brute force attacks on cPanel and WHM web host managers. An attacker with knowledge of or access to valid credentials, the researchers say, could bypass the 2-factor protections on an account within minutes. The vulnerability itself has a CVSS score of 4.3, so it's not that very big, but this has been patched. Make sure you patch your end. What's a 4.3 to CVSS and how it's ranked could be a 9.8 for you, especially if you're an e-commerce site and someone could go into your cPanel and change your payment information, access your payment provider, and take away funds. We are heading into the 4th quarter, folks. Many people are going to be shopping online, not only on Black Friday, but for the coming 3-4 weeks. Our opponents know this. Our adversaries know this. So make sure you adhere to this. Chinese threat actor Mustang Panda updates a tool in an attack on Vatican. So referred to as TA416 and Red Delta, the threat group is known for targeting the entities connected to diplomatic relations between the Vatican and the Chinese Communist Party. Researchers over at Proofpoint include that the use of the new Golang variant of the PlugX malware loader, in addition to the constant use of PlugX, makes detection more difficult. They've been using phishing lures in attacks. So let me get geopolitical here with you for just a minute, folks. Why is China targeting the Vatican? Religion's illegal in China. Communism technically believes that religion is bad. So they outlaw religion. And so in China, every religion has to be approved by the state. Books have to be approved by the state. everything has to be approved by the state. They decide whether or not you can have faith. And what kind of faith you can practice, and what story does that faith tell you. And so that's a very strong part of Chinese communism. The Vatican, a very powerful country within Italy, and the head of Catholicism, is making a big push. And part of that has to do with the fact that Chinese tourists visit a lot of predominantly Catholic countries and enter those churches during those tours and so forth. And so there's an inherent threat on the Chinese Communist Party by Chinese nationals being exposed to Catholicism as they vacation and travel abroad. Now, during COVID, that hasn't obviously materialized as much, but pre-COVID, if you've ever been to Italy, if you've ever been to South America, I can tell you, I was in Italy a few years ago at the Vatican, 30 buses, all Chinese tourists, all touring the Vatican. All might be for the first time discovering Catholicism. Many of them was their first time, not quite understanding what that is. So this specific targeted attack on the Vatican has a lot to do with what the Chinese want to know if the Vatican, or what the Vatican is doing in regards to their population, among other things as well. So that's that. A critical software flaw is now being used to break into networks, so update fast. This is coming over from our friends across the pond at the UK National Cybersecurity Center, that issued an alert warning that a number of groups are currently using a vulnerability in the mobile device management software for Mobileiron. The mobile device management system allows system administrator to manage an organization's mobile devices from a central server, making them a valuable target for criminals to break into. In June of 2020, Mobileiron released security updates to address several vulnerabilities in its product. This includes CVE 2020-15505, a remote execution vulnerability. The critical related vulnerability affects Mobileiron core and connector products and could allow a remote attacker to execute arbitrary code on a system. The NCSS is aware that nation-state groups and cybercriminals are now actively attempting to exploit this vulnerability to compromise the network of UK organizations. A proof of concept of the exploit version became available in September, and since then, hostile state actors and cybercriminals have attempted to exploit this vulnerability in the UK and elsewhere. These attackers typically scan victims' network to identify vulnerabilities, including CVE 2020-15505. It noted that sophisticated hackers are using this vulnerability in combination with the net logon zero logon vulnerability, CVE 2020-1472, in a single intrusion attempt. So make sure you set your controls properly there. Two-factor authentication, monitor your Mobileiron, and maybe set performance alerts or rules along the lines of changes. That would also be very helpful. Our final story, Stantinco Linux malware now poses as an Apache malware. Stantinco, one of the oldest malware botnets still in operation today, has rolled out updates to its cluster of Linux malware, upgrading its Trojan to pose as a legitimate Apache web server process at HTTPD in order to make detection harder on infected hosts. The upgrades spotted by Interzor Labs come to confirm that despite a period of inactivity in regard to code changes, the Stantinko botnet continues to operate even today. First detected in 2012, the group behind this malware began operating by distributing the Trojan as part of an app bundle or through pirated apps. Only Windows users were targeted in the beginning. Now it's moved on to Linux. The botnet has grown in size as well and has started generating much more profit. A considerable update was done in 2017, and now we're seeing another massive update. And the gang appears to have put a primer on stealth in the newer release because they also have modified the process name its Linux malware uses, choosing to go with HTTPD, the name usually used by more famous Apache web servers. Either way, Linux system administrators need to realize that as the Linux OS becomes more widespread in enterprise environments today, more and more malware operators will begin targeting Linux, and many gangs will also bring over all of their expertise and trickery to do just that. Malware gangs usually focus, according to this, on app misconfiguration that have left open ports or admin panels exposed online, outdated apps left without security patches, system apps that use weak passwords, and tricking users into taking dangerous actions, social engineering, and so forth. make sure you update, make sure you're on track. That's it for us here today, folks. Practitioner Brief, November 30th on Monday, Veteran November wrap-up party. So if you haven't registered, do so right now. Go to our website, cyberhubpodcast.com, or our social media. If you go to our LinkedIn page and you look up CyberHub Podcast, you can register right there. That's probably the easiest way. Go to LinkedIn and make sure you follow our page. That's it for us here today, folks. I'm signing off, wishing you all a very, very happy Thanksgiving. No CISO Talk episodes this week, again, because of the Thanksgiving holiday. We'll be back next week. I've got some great episodes coming up as well, so tune in for that. Until then, guys, have a great rest of your day. Happy Thanksgiving. Stay healthy. Practice social distancing. Celebrate the holiday. Be with your family and loved ones, but be responsible. Fry your turkey responsibly. Be safe, and also stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.